that in the podcast. No, I'm kidding.
First of all, the accent is not fake. Let's get there. You know, Kenyans, that's a thing for them.
Screaming, the wanging.
The wanging, Welcome to the Premium Conversation Chamber, aka The Confidential. This is where we have private conversations on a public scale. Today, I have one of my favorite ladies in media. This is an international actress. She's a radio personality and a full-time vibe. Ladies and gents, karibu sana, Wanjira Longauer.
Hey, thank you so much. I like that introduction.
You do?
Full-time vibe.
I thought about it so much.
Aced that, baby. Aced it.
Come on. Come on. All right, so you know, a lot of people know. First of all, the accent is not fake. Let's get there. You know, Kenyans, that's a thing for them.
Screaming, the wanging,
the wanging,
twang.
So you were born in New York.
Yes.
Yes. And then you moved to Kenya.
Born and raised. Yes, born and raised in New York my whole life. I had visited Kenya sporadically throughout at certain points, and then I ended up moving to Kenya.
So, okay, that's interesting. So your mom is Kenyan, your dad is?
Slovak.
Where is for the people who don't know, Okuniwapi?
I'm screaming. Okay, so Slovakia is part of former Czechoslovakia. It was a part of the Iron Curtain. A lot of people would consider it Eastern Europe, but geographically, it actually sits in the heart of continental Europe.
Oh, okay.
So it's bordered by the likes of Hungary, Austria, now Czech Republic because they split and so on and so forth. Well, it's been around for a little while, but yeah. It's been around for a couple decades.
So, you know, you left New York. So here in Kenya, so many people want to go abroad. You know what I mean? Everyone wants to go abroad. People want to hide when they're going abroad as well. You came back.
Yeah, I'm like the inverse.
Yeah.
I know.
So what changed? Like, what made you come back?
Why am I this person? Okay, so it's really funny. I know it's like the Kenyan inclination to say come back, but I always remind people like it's not really a comeback because I wasn't born and raised here. So it really was like a whole new thing. I didn't know that much about Kenya before coming here. I just knew just simple things. I didn't know a lick of Kiswahili. Heller. It was very Jambo. It was very much giving Jambo.
Oh my God.
And Hakuna Matata. Wallahi. So like I really just didn't know things. I didn't know how many ethnic groups there were. I didn't quite know the history as well. And God bless my mom because she is a super involved mother who was really proud and wanted me to, you know, be very proud of my heritage on both sides. But I think also being that I was born and raised in the States and I was going to Europe every year and living in very white communities, I just wasn't as in touch with my African side. So part of why I was very eager to come here, and I moved here in 2014, and that's when I started my career journey really and everything, was simply because I really wanted to also get in touch with like what a Wanjira is and my Kenyan side and so on and so forth, what that really looks like, what that really means.
Yeah.
Plus, like you guys had amazing parties.
Okay, so I know you went to Syracuse and that is a party school.
Ooh, girl, you've done your research. Yes, I did. And yes, it was definitely one big party. I mean, I'm one big party though. The party hasn't stopped.
100%. And it's not going to stop. Can't stop,
not anytime soon.
So I'm sorry, I'm really curious about this. Just walk me through how you pack up and you come to Kenya when you haven't really been like, you know, you don't speak Swahili, you're not very familiar with like what happens over here. Just walk me through that process. Like, are you scared? Like, who are you talking to? Do you have friends here? Like, what's going on?
Okay, so it's an interesting process because I guess, like I said, there was a lot of self-discovery that was ahead of my journey. I had a boyfriend and that I had met in my travels. Well, one, I had met him in New York, actually. He was studying in New York. And then a Kenyan. And then when I had come here, when I was in uni, he and I, you know, linked up and that's when we started dating.
Okay.
And through him, I made a lot of friends and I made a lot of connection outside of family here.
Right.
Because I do have, my parents live in New York and always have really. But I have extended family here and things like that. So I was hanging out with extended family that were my age and so on and so forth. And people were telling me like, girl, if you really want to move here, you could. But then I had a lot of other people telling me, you know, you're a Barbie. Remember that term?
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels so archaic to use it. I don't even know if people use it anymore. But a lot of people saying, you're a Barbie. I was actually talking about this with a cousin of mine who's a really good friend the other day. We were saying how when I moved here in 2014, I was actually quite the maverick, because now you're seeing people flooding to get here. You even have a lot of, whether it's other African diasporans that I've met, people who are not necessarily of Kenyan lineage, but who were born and bred in Europe or the US who want to come here, because Kenya is such a dope country for a million reasons. And then you also have the likes of now Black Americans, for example. We've seen what's happening in Ghana, right?
So this the gentrification.
Which is also taking place. Yes, you're absolutely right. But there are a lot of people who want to move here and do things and are quite intrigued and interested. So when I was doing it, there was still KPLC acting goofy.
God damn it.
Which I guess we can argue they still are sometimes. But, there was just a lot happening, and there weren't as many places to go and hang out. There weren't as many restaurants. I still always found the beauty and the charm in Kenya, in Nairobi, and Kenya as a whole, and the people, but it wasn't as funky fresh as it is now.
And especially from New York, because New York is the epitome of culture.
Right.
Right.
Even how many Kenyan Slovaks do you know?
One.
Exactly. You get what I'm saying? So it's things like this. So people were and also I had studied film. So people were you studied film, you got a certification in broadcast journalism, both radio and television. Why on God's green earth would you now want to go to the dark continent and a place where, you don't really know what's going to happen? Is there security? Is there safety? Is there this? Is there that? But what I really loved about Kenya was the arts and culture that I did see here.
Yeah.
And even if it didn't take in the same way that it did in places that I had visited in New York or London, Vienna, whatever it is, it had its own beat, and the way that it moved was really cool. I felt like it would also be a very interesting challenge to be a part of something that is growing.
Oh, that's nice. I love that, because a lot of Kenyans, whether they lived abroad or they lived locally, they did not really have the chance to study film, to go even wanting to be a journalist in Kenya. Your parents look at you you know what I mean?
Right.
So just tell me how your parents helped you, or did you have to fight? Did they help you? Let me take that again. How did your parents influence you? How did they support you? Were they a bit skeptical at some point? What role did they play in your success, or you coming back to the continent?
So they were kind of no, we don't want our daughter to go halfway across the world. They also were you want to go there because their parties are really fun.
But it's true.
I wouldn't say they were 110% wrong. But I did know what I felt. There was a lot of talk and arguments. But when it came to the things that I studied, they were really supportive. And the things that I wanted to do career-wise and professionally, that they were entirely supportive of. Yeah. And that's in part also because I'm born of artists. My father, having been a filmmaker and really big in the film and digital art scene out in New York. And then my mom being a writer.
Oh.
Yeah, in addition to also being an English professor and an educator. So the arts was never a problem for me to study. And in fact, that's why she was even you know what, and I've studied acting my whole life, things like this. So it was be a thespian, be a filmmaker, but also now do this broadcast thing so that you can also have that on your plate, because it's a competitive field. Yeah. You never know what direction also you want to go to. Why not just taste stuff? It's, get a lot of things that are palatable. So that they were really supportive of. Now, me wanting to take that journey or that trip to Nairobi is where they were scratching their head and wondering, what is the real intent here? Is she just giving us a story about I want to find myself, who's a Wanjira Longauer? Or is she, or is she really about this life?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just came with a camera and expected to be a very starving artist for a long time. And then my career started in 3 weeks, which was pretty dope.
Okay, we're going to get into your very successful career, because there's a lot for us to unpack there. But in the meantime, we're going to take a short break. Remember, The Confidential is brought to you by Mr. Ceiling. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the first Pan-African premium conversation platform, aka The Confidential. We're still here with the wonderful Wanjira Longauer. And before we took a break, we were talking about your success story. And there's something you said that I want to get into. You came here and in 3 weeks you got a job. There are people walking around town with envelopes who really want to hear that story.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was actually a really crazy story. And when I look back on it, my heart flutters because I'm like, how are the stars aligned in such a way? Mm-hmm. Basically, I was hanging out on a hangover Sunday with my ex's sister. Mm-hmm. And she made a passing comment about when I go back to the States because she was used to me being around for approximately like 3 months.
And then you bounced.
Like a summer bunny.
Yeah.
I had been a summer bunny like twice before. So she thought that now this was just going to be a recurring theme. Mm-hmm. And, I was kind of like, no, I intend to stay because I knew that several years earlier, there had been a new constitution put in place that said it no longer had to be through your paternal lineage that you become a Kenyan citizen. That used to be what it was.
Yeah.
You could get it through your maternal lineage because it's my mother who's Kenyan, not my father.
Right.
So before, back in the day, I would not have been able to become a Kenyan citizen. Mm-hmm. But now I knew I could get dual citizenship. And this was very important in that journey to becoming Wanjira Longauer. Mm-hmm. The person, before I'm even thinking about the brand now. Before I'm even thinking about the persona, I'm just thinking about, the nitty gritty, and I'm like, even if I fail here, I want to at least be able to get this citizenship and then go back, fail in style.
And you were allowed to have dual citizenship actually with the new constitution. Before you can only have one.
Before I think you could have one, or you could only get, if you could have two, one thing I know for sure, it had to be your father, who was the Kenyan. And in this case,
he was
Longauer is not a Kenyan.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why I was wondering, how we're gonna do this. But I was like, okay, I'll at least be able to get this citizenship. So I told her, I'm gonna try and find work. I had literally just arrived. This was like week number I think I was like 2.5 weeks into my stay or something. Mm-hmm. And so I just told her, I'm gonna try and get citizenship, but I also want to get work. Yeah. I want to try and stay like a few years at least.
Yeah.
I'm young and I don't know what's going on. I don't know that if this is gonna be my forever place, but I'm telling people it's probably gonna be my forever place. It's certainly my for now place. I like that. It's certainly my for now place. That I've told them. So I'm thinking about how to go about this, and she's like, "What is it that you do again?" And I tell her the film, the broadcasting, the acting, yada, yada, yada. And she's like, hold on. And she calls this guy. And lo and behold, I had no idea who this man is. Mm-hmm. But she says, talk to him. Mm-hmm. And I start talking and he just says, whoa, that voice.
Oh my God, I think I have a feeling who this is.
And I'm like, who is this? And this man sounds like such a character himself. And he says that he's coming back from surveying some land. I think it was in like Nanyuki, and that we should meet. We should meet that eve. And I say okay. And so I go with my CV printed. I remember actually thinking, this is something I remember so vividly. Mm-hmm. I remember thinking that I should postpone this meeting because remember, this is a hangover Sunday.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Okay, girl, and I'm there. With no change of clothes. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
And I'm also like, what am I gonna wear of theirs? Mm-hmm. It was just I something in my heart of hearts told me, do not maramoja it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plug it out.
And keep it moving. Mm-hmm. And so that's precisely what I did. I printed my CV at the house. When people were still printing CVs. Hey. 2014 was a different year. And so I printed it and I was like, and I had a cover letter. I worked at WWE. Some people know that, some people don't.
Really?
So I had a cover letter from my boss at WWE Film Studios. A lot of people don't know that either, that WWE has a film studios, and that's where I had been working before I said, sayonara sucker.
Hold on, film studios here.
No, in New York. This was, in Connecticut, in Stamford, Connecticut, where they're based. And so I printed out the cover letter that my amazing boss at the time, before I resigned, had written me, my CV, and I was ready to rock and roll. So I was asked a lot of questions. That man did not play. That man indeed was Chris Kirubi.
Hey.
And I didn't know who he was or really what he owned. But as she's driving me to the interview, she is like, like just like use your diction. You speak really well. Be calm, and I'm always calm, especially because I'm like, well,
you get what you pay for. Like
it's cool. Like I mean, I don't know. I'm not in no worse position, right? I have no idea what awaits me.
Yeah.
I'm young, you know, and I don't care. I mean, I care. I certainly care, but I think my theory in life is that like, if you give me $100 right now, I'd be like, thank you so much. That's amazing. I'm $100 up. But if I leave here and you don't give me $100, I'm still fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm still good, you know? And so like, it's going to be Gucci regardless.
Yeah.
For me. It's always going to work out for me. So I just went, and he was really inquisitive. And, you know, I remember him asking me like, do you know how to use this equipment at my studios? And I said, I can't entirely guarantee that, because I don't know what your equipment looks like. I said, but I've studied this stuff, and I'm an extraordinarily quick study. I don't think we'll have an issue. He said, talk to this person. Puts me on a call with Somoina. Somoina Kimujino. Shout out her. I remember she picked up the phone and was like, okay, come in Tuesday. And I came in on a Tuesday and was asked a few more questions there. They have the CV, they have the cover letter. They tell me to go do a voice test. They give me 3 scripts. I do 1 script. They said, it's okay, put the other scripts down. And they were looking for a presenter for the rock show. They had a presenter.
The mid-morning.
Yes, the mid-morning called The Fuse. They had a guy sitting there, an extraordinarily talented dude by the name of Taylor. And so they wanted to see if Taylor and I would pair well. So first I did an individual test, and then they paired me with Taylor. And Taylor and I, you know, sounded really good together and had a good rapport. And as they say, the rest was history.
You know, that's amazing, because you've just taken me down memory lane, because I remember you were the one training me when I was a capital.
Yes.
So you went from the what is it called? What's the
newbie, like new girl, new kid on the block.
And you became the master.
Yeah.
You're the one now teaching guys.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I have to ask you, what point did you realize that, wow, my life is about to change? Like, was there a moment where you were like, let's say, walking somewhere and someone is like, oh my God, are you Wanjira? Like,
definitely that would like, that's a good question. I think first of all, like when I was signing a contract that week, I was like, because I just really didn't know what would come, like that would happen so quickly. And then I didn't know what would come next. And a lot of things started coming quickly. But it was such an amazing experience. I think you're right, when you start getting recognized. I can't remember the first time exactly I started getting recognized, but I remember that I think maybe a month into working on radio, they had me host Kuroga.
Oh.
So now it's also, because obviously radio, especially back in the day, yeah, there was digital stuff, but it wasn't like as much as it is now.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I think they wanted also people to see my face and to pair like who
to put
Wanjira, One Love exactly is. I mean, also to see, you know, you say you big and bad, like let's see it. You know, can you really rock a stage?
And a month after, like that's crazy.
It was very, very It was about I want to say a month. I don't think not more than like something like maybe 6 weeks.
Okay.
Because I remember Somo coming in while I was doing the show, and she said, "By the way, you'll be hosting this Kuroga."
Were you nervous?
And I was like,
because that's like 20,000 people clean.
Nah, I really wasn't. I really love a stage. Stage has always been my happy place. A stage is a really, when you're a performer, a stage is a very fun place to hide.
There's a question I'm going to ask you. We'll get back to that, but I want to talk about it at the very end. So you've been on so many streaming services. I'm talking, you know, across the board on some very famous shows. So Single Cassie being one of them. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. You've been there too, girl.
Oh yeah, you know it. So tell me something crazy that's happened to you on set. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to get into the specifics, like which show, what movie, or whatever. And by the way, she has Disconnect 2 coming out.
Hey.
Yes. So tell me something crazy that's happened to you on set.
God, do you really want me to tell the story?
Now I kind of do, yeah.
Okay, so this was actually not a set in terms of it was television or film, it was theater.
Okay.
So there was a theater production I did that was really, really massive a few years after I arrived here. And the producer kept trying to get me to record something naked under the guise of he's going to show it to Hollywood
What?
officials. And then, but like, I have to do a sex scene. This is a true story. Please be careful out there, y'all, please.
For real?
Yes, like thank God you can't G me because I'm a G.
Yeah.
And I'm from New York, baby.
You can't G the G. That's crazy.
But it was so hectic. And at the same time, I was in the production. This wasn't like it was afterward. Like he was still kind of trying afterward and I eventually just blocked him. But this was going on while I was in production. So it was a very awkward place to be because you don't really want to snub the person and walk away from the production. You love what you're doing. You love the other people you're working with. You know how big this is going to be. But yeah, that was the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me on any type of set.
Yeah, and you know the funny thing, now that we know what we know with the Weinsteins and all these crazy guys, he might not have been lying. He might have actually been selling it, but still.
I get exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
Right.
But the fact that he was so confident saying that is insane.
It was really hectic. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was really hectic.
So did you finish the production?
I absolutely did. It was a huge success. I was able to navigate avoiding that human being.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there was somebody who was behind the scenes that was the producer.
Right.
Actually, just like Weinstein was literally a producer. And I hear still is. But yeah, it's a hectic world out there. So you have to be very. You have to know,
Stern.
yeah. And you have to be
so
clever
sorry
about
you
how
had
to
to-
navigate yourself.
Yeah, I'm sorry you had to go through that. That is terrible. Oh my God. But you know what? To all the other ladies out there who might be going through, ladies and gents who might be going through something similar, she went through it and she came out victorious. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we don't know who that producer is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There was also another time where another producer tried to kind of G me out of my money. Tried to play games with my money. And this was for a huge thing at the time. And, you know, my lawyer kept telling me, advising me, who was also my friend, like, do not go on that stage until, and this was an international production, do not go on that stage until this person pays you. And I remember that person tried to tell me that I'll never work in town again because it was escalated to now like the serious bosses of like, you know, the Don Corleone of the production, if you will. And so, you know, he was asking Wanjira, why are you fretful? What's the problem? And I was kind of like, well, you know, there's some discrepancy about what's supposed to happen to my money and things aren't happening and da-da. And like, you know, I'm a bit confused. And it's very, very difficult, by the way, might I add, because it's not just about being young and up and coming. In Kenya, there's a big thing where there really aren't managers.
Yeah, that's true.
And you know, because you're in this business too. Like, we have to represent ourselves and we also have to be the talent. This is extraordinarily unfair and a very difficult thing to have to manage because it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to be, you know, I'm a woman, so I also have to be sweet and nice and this and that. But, you know, to get things done, you got to be a bitch. And that's also who people respect, you know, people with cojones. So it's very complicated in all those things because you're trying to balance being a boss, getting things done, making sure you're paid your worth, making sure you're being taken seriously, and making sure that somebody isn't trying to put their hand up your skirt. So there's like a lot of stuff that's happening all the time. And then you're also trying to get ahead in your craft to be, you know, a good actor, to be a good host, to get bigger gigs, to thrive.
And they're going to label you difficult to work with when all you're doing is asking for your money. You know what I mean? Like, you're not even being difficult. You're just asking for what you were promised and what you're owed.
Exactamente. Yeah, see.
A mess.
So now that stuff, especially at the beginning, used to kill me. There were, you know, you always have to, as you know, in the industry and in the business, keep a smile on your face, you know, put a smile on your face and keep it moving. But there were times that I was very anxious or crying myself to sleep or really like gutted. And where, you know, you're leaning on your, you know, if you have amazing parents like I do or friends or whatever, you know, your community and just, you know, you have a few people that you can get confidential with. Yeah.
Period. Say that again.
Yeah.
Because you see, I think community is very important because, yeah, we've all been there in the industry. I think crying yourself to sleep because someone somewhere wants to short you.
Yeah.
Someone somewhere wants to sleep with you.
Yeah.
Someone will make your life difficult because you won't sleep with them.
Trillion%.
And the funny thing, word moves around fast in the industry.
Sure
so
does.
People start saying, "Oh yeah, I heard from so and so that you
Right.
were very difficult to work with," and you're
Right.
like, "No."
Yeah, I remember that guy was a big kahuna back then. And he certainly presented himself like that, but he was just like, it's a small industry, you won't work again.
What a loser.
He really was.
Oh, I'm so glad you got over that. Oh.
Yeah, let's do a Where Is He Now? Let's do that later.
I love that. So you are on Single Cassie. We've talked about this massive show, massive hit. Congratulations. I love you on this show.
Thank you, gorgeous.
So are you one of those people, first of all, let me ask you, are you one of those people who cannot watch what they're in?
Yes.
Oh, so if I ask, my next question actually depends on that.
I'm like, oh God, please don't. In fact, I keep delaying having a marathon with my friends for this season because I get the ick.
Do you like
just
hearing your
watching
voice?
myself? No, it's not really that. I have a good voice, but if I may say so myself. But it's just, there's just something, like I love the creative process and then I'm like, you guys can tell me if I sucked or not. Like I trust you.
Yeah.
Or I'll know intrinsically what I need to fix. But I was talking to a friend of mine, a comedian, David Masharia. You know
I know
David,
David.
of course.
Yeah,
he's
the
your boy
homie.
too. Yeah,
He's the boy. Yeah.
Fellow home skillet right there. And I was he was saying that he does watch himself. He does rewatch his performances, and we were kind of talking about that one time. So I think I need to do that.
Yeah, so I tried it and 0 out of 10 would not recommend.
It's so hard.
So weird.
It's really and people complain about hearing themselves on answering machines when that existed back in the day.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, it's hard.
It really is. So we're going to take a short break, but don't go anywhere because we still have so much more conversation coming your way. Remember, this is the Private Conversation Chamber and you are welcome to be part of it. And remember, this show is brought to you by Mr. Ceiling. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Premium Conversation Chat, aka The Confidential. You're with me, Chico, and of course, Wanjira Longauer is still here. Now, let me ask you something. Wanjira is like a household name, okay? I don't even have to use the Longauer. So you're a household name, and so you're known around everywhere. What are the unknowns about you? Like, tell me something that people don't know about you.
Now, this is where you get your girl. I don't know, but something people, like a silly fact?
Yeah, it could be a silly fact. It could be like something shocking. Like, you know how some people are really outgoing and then when they're at home, they're really introverted.
That's also very true. I think actually people would be quite shocked by how much time I spend alone.
Yeah.
Like as much as I'm out and you see me out and you see me enjoying myself and being a lifeist, being so full of joie de vivre. Like a lot of I spend a very significant amount of time alone and I really enjoy it. In fact, have you heard of this new term, not necessarily ambivert, but omnivert?
No, I know what ambivert means. What does ambivert mean?
So omnivert is apparently a new term that is kind of like a bit more of an extreme ambivert. Mm-hmm. So it's like when you're out, like an ambivert, as we know, does need social, like needs socialization. Like I'm very much a people person. I get a lot of my energy from people, but people also drain me and hinder me when it's too much. Yeah. So, and because as a performer, you have to be on all the time. I also need alone time to also recharge in another way and power myself up. So an omnivert is an even more kind of, to simplify, like an even more intense ambivert.
So like you can go
like I can go months being really social or weeks upon weeks being really social and then kind of being antisocial where people are like, where'd you go? Where you been? You've been okay? Out the scene. Is everything all right?
Proof of life.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that would really shock people. Mm-hmm. It's not 24/7 being like baddie outside and doing stuff.
Well, I guess that's good. And it really helps to be self-aware. Yeah. Because the problem with people who are not self-aware about stuff like that, they start draining the rest of us.
Right. Right.
And it's horrible.
I think another thing that people would be surprised by is I can really suffer from social anxiety.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't think performers can, especially when you're so on, like my Sagittarius self. But and that's why I have to like sometimes hermit, because it can just be too much.
Yeah.
And then it's really annoying because you're like, oh my God, I should be at the event and I should be at the thing and I should be seen. And if I'm not on social media, then oh my God, I'm gonna fade from the masses.
Oh my God. The social anxiety for celebrities, by the way, is a big thing, because the worst
literally,
part
it's like,
is no one really thinks that you can.
Literally.
Yeah.
And people don't pay attention to it. I remember one time somebody asked me, a friend of mine, this is a long time ago, asked me if I get sad. And that made me so sad because I was like, oh my God, do I look that one-dimensional? Like, do I just look like a Labrador? You know, like I'm just,
what do you mean? Do you
going like
get
this?
sad?
Like, it was such a weird question. And I was like, I'm human, so I have a range of emotions.
You know, that's why, like, I think, these Hollywood actors and stuff, that's why they end up telling you, like,
shaving their hair off, like Britney Spears.
Or like, on a more serious note, like committing suicide, because I don't think they're allowed to show their emotions.
You're just supposed to be, exciting and fun and happy all the time.
Yeah.
And you almost feel like you won't be forgiven if
you show emotion. Yeah.
If you show a range of emotion.
Right.
It's like,
and I think that's really horrible, because then they want you to perform throughout.
Yeah.
Like on, off, whether you're in front of the camera or off the camera, like they want you to still perform.
Which is why a lot of my favorite celebrities in present day or in olden times, you know, whether it was Edith Piaf or Cardi B, and I know that's a hell of a juxtaposition, but, you know, they're both so intriguing and interesting to me because they live life by their own terms.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You would love somebody who shows that they have a range of emotions, not someone who's, because we kind of get that feeling from Beyonce. Beyonce comes off as this really like happy, good girl throughout.
I am screaming my heart out over here
until
because you're not finna get me canceled by the Bay High. Okay.
Do you remember like when we said, so we made a point, we were commenting, we said like, well, Chloe Bailey, she does too much on stage.
Yeah.
And people were really unhappy with us. And I don't even think it's because they like Chloe Bailey. It's just because she's Beyonce's protege.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think she has a lot of fans.
You do?
I think she had. I don't know. I think also since she's dated Bruna, you don't think her fans have increased?
Yeah.
She was like dating, or they had a thing.
Oh yeah, I remember. And she was in like Lagos the whole time. People were like, doesn't she have like a something to promote?
I'm screaming. She was getting sucked in.
She was.
Nigerian lovin'. It'd be like that.
Yeah, Lagos is a crazy place. I've never been. Have you been to Lagos?
No, I haven't.
You haven't? Well,
and I did a whole Nigerian production. Like,
really?
Yes, Moments Kenya. I did for 2 years, and I was supposed to go to Lagos.
And then what happened?
And then they didn't go. They didn't take us. I'm still boo. Justice for Wanjira. Create a GoFundMe.
So I want to know something, like, is there something that's been said about you that's untrue, but you haven't really bothered like trying to change the narrative or anything like that?
I'm sure there are several things, but a lioness does not the real hunters, by the way, of the pack, of the herd, does not concern themselves with
the opinions of sheep.
Exactly.
Love it. There, you've heard it first. That's a soundbite. Bar. So, you know, as we were talking about like social anxiety, and we're talking about like, you know, how you have to be almost like a full-time character when you are
hilarious. Yes, I am a cartoon though, naturally.
Yeah,
so
you're naturally funny. But when do you feel like most at home? Like, do you prefer being in front of the screen, or do you prefer to be just like hidden away? Like, because there's a period when I come in, I do my job, and I bounce. There's people who might want to linger around and stay around. What do you prefer?
I'm very comfortable in front of cameras. I'm very comfortable on stages of any kind. So yeah, that's home. Funny, I was just discussing this the other day. I don't like when there's attention on me and I don't want it. So I think that's what you're kind of alluding to, even with yourself, where you're like, I come in, I do my job, and then it's like, bada bing, bada boom, I'm out. There also is a sense of me that can be like that. So sometimes you're being lauded with attention and it's not, you don't want it. I think also the thing about, you know, people of the stage is that we feel like when we're on the stage, we're commanding that attention. And we're also being characters. Because One Love, the MC, or even Wanjira, Longauer, the MC, or you know, when I'm in a character, when I'm Steph on Single Kiasi, those are that's not Wanjira Longauer at home, undressed, sitting in, you know, an oversized tee and some biker shorts and chilling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like just, you know, doom scrolling on her phone.
For real.
Those are different people.
Can I ask you, because I asked Emmanuel this, we had him over last week. How do you stay grounded? Because sometimes, you know, in this industry, people can get lost in the sauce. Like, what are some of the things that you do that keep you grounded?
Life will humble that ass. We'll start there.
For real.
So I never let my head get too big. And then I think it also has a lot to do with family and friends and the kind of people that I surround myself with, the kind of people I'm naturally surrounded by, and the way that I was brought up. Yeah, it has a lot to do with
your foundation.
Yes, the foundation, exactly.
Okay, so people, myself included, we miss hearing you on radio because you've had like more than 10 years in the business. And you know, because I used to listen to you when you were on the Fuse, the mid-morning show. And I remember because I was working and I used to get my lunch and it was like a
I
thing.
love that. That's
yeah.
Where were you working, Missy?
I was an intern at a law firm.
Sick. I love that.
So I used to go to lunch and they would always play that, you know, they would always have the show on. First of all, what happened? Like, because you were there and then you weren't there.
Yeah, I left to go to Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yes. I went to Los Angeles for a little over a year because I wanted to see what else I could create, especially since, you know, still young, don't have kids, not married, like nothing to tie you down. That's a good time to move around because the older you get, usually the more responsibilities you have. You feel me? So I didn't want to let life start shackling me.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to try an LA thing. Now the thing about LA was very good to me. Very good to me. And I still have friends and connections there that, you know, were very special and meaningful. But LA takes a while to situate yourself into. And I'm also a New Yorker, so I already kind of knew that LA was not going to be the pace or vibe that I necessarily want. I'd rather be in New York.
Yeah.
But I did meet people in the industry who were really helpful or who, you know, were good people to know. I came back for what was supposed to be a visit because I was pining for Kenya and missing the continent in general and just like vibes and nini and blah, 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 blah. I come in December 2019 and I'm getting gigs left, right, and center. I'm like, this is great extra money, blah, blah. I still have my apartment in LA. I'm like, I'll go back to that in a few weeks. It's fine. My mom even gets FOMO, decides to come from New York and visit me here. And yeah, we're doing it up and having a grand old time. And then like this weird disease is going around.
COVID, right.
And I said, if there's one thing I know about the States, they like following rules over there.
Right.
There's one thing I know about Kenya, they like breaking them. So I wasn't gonna go and do sufferation in Los Angeles, you know, by myself, where I knew there was gonna be serious lockdown and isolation. Sure enough, the National Guard showed up in two places. It showed up in New Rochelle, New York, where my parents live. It showed up in Los Angeles. So yeah. No me gusta. So I didn't go.
We had this conversation before. You've just reminded me. You were telling me that after COVID, you wanted to come back to radio, right? If I
yes, I did. I absolutely did. And then a year later, because this is now January 2020. This is like early. I don't know. Maybe like March 2020, that I'm like, okay, for real, there's nowhere to go. I even forbade my mom, who was here, to get on one of those last flights because I'm like, what if you get this crazy disease and you die? And I let you go. Like, I don't want that on me, like that guilt. So we were both stuck here. She ended up leaving in August. In October of 2020, I get a call. In November, there are talks, and by December 1st, I was back up on air at Capital FM. But this time, they had scrapped hits. They told me I could do whatever I wanted to do with the show, and I named it The Hype.
The Hype.
I gave it its slogan, its hashtag, Believe the Hype. I came up with a YouTube component to support the on-air
DJs.
Yeah, and on-air content that we would have so we wouldn't be faceless. So I came up with the whole creative concept of the show, what the segments were going to be like, what it was going to sound like, what it was going to look like, what it was going to feel like. Yeah. So I created that from bottom up, which is one of like my proudest moments also in my career because I really loved that.
They did. No, I loved it too. And it was different from It's Not Homework, which was there prior.
Yeah, it was it was a totally different vibe. Totally different vibe. And I think where we also really killed it and had a lot of fun were the interviews. Yeah.
It was really good.
And it was a proper hip hop lover show.
Yeah, and it didn't have too many ads. That's what I liked about it. Because the ads can really drain you from listening to the radio. All right, we're gonna take one more short, tiny break, but we'll be back with Wanjira Longauer in a bit. Welcome back to the Conversation Chamber, brought to you by Mr. Ceiling. We're still here with Wanjira Longauer. I said I'm not going to say the second name, but I did because it's such a cool name. Karibu Sana, as per the usual. You know that I love having you on all of my shows.
Yes, chicks.
Because you're a fun babe.
Hey.
So speaking of which, how do you prefer to receive support, especially when you're overwhelmed? Like, are you the type of person who wants people to, send care packages? Are you the type of person who wants someone to get you out of the house? Like, how do you prefer?
I like that care package one.
The care package?
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes. Boxes of wine, please. That's the care package.
Boxes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a package, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What do I like? I think it varies. And it also really depends on like what it is that I'm trying to de-stress from.
Right.
So, maybe it's let's get out of the house and do something fun and wholesome. Maybe it's let's get out of the house and, eat delicious food. Like I'm such a foodie. Maybe it's let's veg on the couch and be like total potatoes together and watch the new Tyra doc and comment on that and space out. You feel me? Like it could be anything. Yeah.
So, you look very beautiful today.
Thank you.
I want to know, how does love manifest in your life?
Why are we doing this?
Your color of love, madam.
I'm screaming. I know, I really do look like it's Valentine's Day.
You do.
Ay, Dios mío. Okay, sorry, how does love manifest?
How does it manifest?
Expound, what exactly do you mean by that?
How does it show up in your life? Like, what's your love language, basically?
Oh, my love language?
Because you have potentials, by the way, they could be watching. You don't know. You're saying that you're not married, you don't have kids. Don't worry, Mr. Ceiling is working on that. Yeah, the confidential.
There are no ceilings at Mr. Ceiling. Hey. What's my number one love language? Acts of service.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like life, it can be burdensome.
Yeah.
And can burden you with so many things. It can be burdening. So I feel like when somebody takes the initiative to like do something for you, there's something that's quite beautiful in that speaks volumes.
You know, like there's a lady who talked about how when people lose someone, like when they're grieving, that people are always like, oh, I'm here for you. But then
they're not really there for them.
They're only there up until the funeral. Then afterwards, they're not there.
Exactly. Yeah. It's showing up for someone. I think that says a lot when you can lean on somebody. And that love language applies holistically, like in friendships and family and romantic love. Yeah.
So how old were you, by the way, when you came to Kenya? When you moved? When you made the
If I do that, then I date myself, so I can't tell you. I was a young 20-something.
20-something? Okay, 20 fine.
Exactly.
So if Wanjira from New York could look at you right now, what would she most be proud of? And what would she not tolerate again?
I was such a baby. I was such a baby, and I thought I was such a big, bad baby. I mean, I always have been. But yeah, what is something that I would do again and something that I wouldn't tolerate?
Yeah, something that you're proud of. Like if baby Wanjira was.
I'm really proud of the way that I'm able to reinvent myself and, for lack of a better term, stay relevant.
Right.
Which, I feel like that has a certain connotation, but it is really hard in this industry to continually work and be a part of things. and change people's, perception of you. When I was on The Fuse, that was a totally different feel and look than when I was on The Hype years later. When I did Sports Central, that shocked people. They didn't think I could talk about sports and hold it down as a host of such a show for a few years. When I did Moments, which was a very Oprah-like talk show, people would expect me to do things like that. So I think those are those nuanced things that I'm able to do. People were really surprised to see that I could act, that I could be an actress when they saw me in theater productions, when they saw me on television, when they saw me in movies. So, and then still be an MC, there are a lot of different things that I can do.
Yeah.
I'm quite qualified. So I think that's what I'm really proud of myself for. I think something that I would not want to do again. That's a hard one for me because I truly am someone who believes in no regrets.
Right.
So I think that a lot of the things that happen in life are meant to, you're supposed to deal with pain, you're supposed to fumble, you're supposed to mess up, because that's how you figure out what works and what doesn't. I mean, we wouldn't have light if, Edison wasn't messing up.
Right.
So there, these things are important, so I don't know if there's something I think perhaps I think something that happens a lot in your 20s is that you can listen to a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Hashtag relatable.
And it can be distracting.
It can be.
Yeah.
And I think that, I would just listen to less noise. I mean, I am very IDGAF, but we're human beings, and also given the nature of what I do for a living, you can sometimes get sucked up a little bit. So I think perhaps it would maybe be that.
But in general, you're happy with the way things have turned out?
Yeah, I like my trajectory.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I like that you've talked about like the noise and stuff like that, because what we usually do at the end is you give us your parting shot, which is usually some advice. So, and it doesn't have to be just for like people in entertainment. It can be all kinds of advice. I always say you can be spiritual advice. It could be advice to people just generally as professionals. It could be entertainment advice. What nuggets of wisdom would you like to give to the audience who are watching right now, whether they're up and coming, whether they want to shift careers? What would you like to tell them?
Okay. I think I saw something for creatives. I saw something really cool that said that creativity really holds, really carries when you strike a nerve in somebody, when you move them emotionally. So I think that it is really important to do that. I know everyone says content is king, but what makes The Confidential different from any other podcast that we have that's circulating in Nairobi or Kenya now or elsewhere in the world is that it's up close and it's nitty gritty and it's getting to raw and real stories of people across different fields. So I think that's something that I would really advise to up and coming creatives, or you don't have to be up and coming creatives who are doing something, but just make sure that you're striking a nerve in somebody, because then you're touching people, and then when people are touched, they'll lock in, and that's when they'll pay attention to you and things that you're doing. I think that it's always really important to be grounded. Like I said, life has a very interesting way of working. My mom always told me that what comes up must come down. And so, and the same people that you meet going up are the same ones you have a tendency to meet as you're coming down. So it is very good and very important to always have, keep your head, keep your wits about you, keep your head on your shoulders. And that doesn't mean that you can't toot your own horn or,
Be confident.
But you don't have to OD on the cockiness. You know what I'm saying? You can have a little bit of that yay in you, but not OD like we've seen Kanye do, because even when he's fallen from grace, it's not always been the most pleasant thing, right? I know that's a multi-layered subject, but it's an interesting one to use, but you kind of understand what I mean as that example. So I think that would be my thing. Young ladies, we already kind of touched upon that. Like, just make sure you're really astute and try and surround yourself with good people who love and care about you and can advise you in the proper ways, because, there are some odd folks out there.
Very odd. So, we've been talking a lot about success, and I think I want to pick your brain a little bit. Is it more success? Is it because of luck, or is it because of discipline and like hard work? Like, what do you think?
I think it really depends, and it could be a lot of times a combination. So I know we tell children, you can be anything you want to be.
Yeah. You'll be
And that's a good
astronaut.
thing. That's a good thing to tell kids. And, I'm by no means a pessimist. But as a realist, a lot of success comes with luck.
Yeah.
And that could be just the family you're born into. So there's that angle. Now, at the same time, I do think that there is a level of success that can come from discipline, from what you decide to do. They say that that success is a learned skill, a learned task. It's what what is your routine when you wake up every day?
Right.
Do you have routine in the first place? Things of this nature. So I think it's a really mixed bag. I think there is also a huge other part, if one wants to be philosophical, what is success to you?
Right.
Because success to somebody could be loads and loads of money. It's yachts, it's private jets, it is owning banks, it's owning hotels. And to another person, it's to have a family.
Yeah.
It's to have a wife, a husband, kids, and that's their form of legacy. Because I think ultimately success is spelled out by how humans want their legacy to look like.
Yeah. I like that, because we were talking about this the other day, and I was like, it's not everyone defines success the same way.
No.
Everyone has a different one. Sometimes, especially in the creative scene, you'll find people are just happy if they can pay their bills, but they do what they love. You know what I mean? Like
Very true.
Yeah.
I remember my stepdad saying, he was just like, as an artist, when I was a kid, he was like, as an artist, it's a big deal if you can make a living off your art.
Yeah.
The average person doesn't. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, you have all your Van Goghs who died.
Yeah. Without selling a single one.
Okay? Yeah. So, that it's real. So those are all things to take into account. So I think it's a very loaded question. For me, success is my sanity.
Oh, yeah.
My success is my peace of mind. Success is having, to be able to put my head down at night and knowing that I've not made anybody's life difficult. In the words of Toni Morrison, like, if you need somebody else to be on their knees so that you can step on their back, to paraphrase, just so that you can be taller, there's a problem there.
Yeah.
So that's not really how I like to roll, but that's me.
And you feel like you haven't sold your soul. Like you can
all those kinds of things.
Your conscience is clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. That's really good, because a lot of people in this industry, especially women, can be very competitive to a point where you're like, okay,
The
can we
emphasis on
relax?
women.
There's space for everyone, man.
Yeah, that just killed me. But yeah, no, for sure. Nicki Minaj.
What? That's the best example. Now watch the barbs come at us.
It's all right. I know how to fight. I know how to scrap.
You know how to fight? Nice, me too. The Somali in me will come out. And that is how you make the mission possible through Wanjira. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, baby.
You know where we are. You're welcome anytime.
Mr. Ceiling, I'll be right here.
Mr. Ceiling, by the way, is the sponsor of this episode. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Girl.
Thank you, baby. I loved this.
Oh, loved
this
it
was
too.
amazing.
This was nice, huh?
This was really dope.
This was nice.